Um, so I'd like to introduce to you today a previous colleague of mine, Fiona S. I've had the privilege of working with Fiona in the Greater Shepparton Community Connector program a few years back now. And it was the first program of its kind in Australia, which was underpinned by the Attract Connect Stay framework. So welcome, Fiona.
Hi, Bim.
Thanks for taking the time to share some of your valuable information, particularly around collaboration and how you went about um, making those relationships and networks and collaborations when you were establishing the Community Connector program in Shepparton, which was, I think, 4 years ago now.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, feels like a
Um,
lifetime.
oh, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
The funny thing is, I still get people ringing me, asking me for advice or asking me questions about it or sharing information. So yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I think it's something that I talk a lot to other community connectors about. It's having the right person initially in that role,
Mm,
and having those deep connections in the community that you did initially is such a important aspect to creating those establishing new connections and some of those existing collaborations that you had already.
yeah, yeah.
I worked with Fiona. I think the program was running for 6 months before I came on board when it was in a pilot stage. And Fiona, I was assisting Fiona with the amazing work that she had already done with the program. And I think in that time, Fiona, around about the 2 year mark, I think we were around 200 new to area professionals and their families had settlement guidance and support from the program and yourself in that time. So the figures are amazing. I think around that we're hitting around the 5 year, 4 year mark now, and it's around 500 plus new to area professionals and their families that have received assistance from the program. So it's pretty astonishing.
It is, isn't it? Right.
So I've invited Fiona here to talk about those networks and collaborations she's made. But initially, Fiona, when you were appointed in the role of the Community Connector Coordinator in
Mm.
Greater Shepparton, how did you go about, and I think this is something everyone would love to know, setting up those partnerships and collaborations, maybe particularly talk around governance initially in the committees that you were involved in the program, and yeah, how you went about connecting, how you went about yeah, having those relationships and how important they were.
Yeah. So the program got started with an investment between council and our Committee for Greater Shepparton. So the Committee for Greater Shepparton is a business network of it's a network of businesses in the region, and they advocate for better support and policies from the government to be able to do business. So that was a critical connection. And council, there's a particular person, Fiona Legasic, who came up with the idea, or I think she might have met Kath or
I think
um,
so, yes.
at a conference or something like that, and understood the importance of supporting people who were new employees who were coming to town. So they were the main two um, organisations in terms of the structure and the governance and in terms of setting the direction. So that was really useful to have both of them on board and be able to set sort of a strategic plan and then and because I think we got some funding, so we were reporting against the funding. So that was really useful too. So to have that accountability to in setting it all up and working that out. So having a couple of, well, for us it was two organisations, but whoever it is to really be on board and to be championing the whole program, and funding it and finding the funding and things like that. It's really important. And then to be meeting with them regularly and updating them. They, you know,
And you would do that in monthly meetings and reporting as well.
Absolutely. So I've been really lucky in quite a few of my jobs in that I'm just told, here's the parameters, go and make it happen, which is how I love to work. But it's really important to be accountable, and to be using reporting back against, well, what is the criteria about what we're measuring. And so, yeah, you said at the end of the 2 years, I think it was at one stage we were supporting 15 new families a month. And like, that's really crazy. Like juggling that many people and remembering things. So
So
yeah,
initially you did that, remembering those things in a spreadsheet, when you had that in that well-oiled Excel spreadsheet,
yeah.
to remember those aspects of the relocation needs.
But then when you came on board, that's when you helped to set up the CRM, and that was a godsend. Like you can only hold a certain amount of information in your head.
Mm,
So having a CRM is really, really important, and one that's flexible enough to be able to track people in different ways in terms of either their interests or how do we follow them up, or maybe their partner needs a job. So, and you've got to
mm.
remember, oh, there was this person that worked in the medical field and was looking for a job, so that you can, when you do hear about that sort of thing, you can find them easily enough. So
Yeah.
that,
Well, I think one of my questions was around collaborating in new communities. So those connections, at that settlement stage. So
yep,
community groups, sporting groups and so forth. And they were really important with the way we collated that in our CRM.
yep,
Um,
yep.
and so do you think your knowledge of working and living in Shepparton for years and having connections already with those community groups was pivotal? Or how did you connect with those community groups to collate that data and those
So I I think it's a sort of a combination of few things, because I did, I had and I do have a lot of networks, but it wasn't like it didn't cover everybody. But I'm really passionate about regional communities. It's my love. I just love it, and
and it's so
connect
good at it.
and connecting people is what sparks joy for me.
Mm,
Bringing people together around a common issue, or to solve problems, or whatever it is. And so I was thinking, when you sent the question to me, it's sort of innate in me. And the other thing is, the thing that I love is that, and the thing that motivates me is that it's not about me. Yeah, I do it, but it's about others. So I find it really easy to then talk about the need, or why people should come together, or why you should
mm,
hear about things, because of the outcome. So if my advice is, don't make it about you, because you just become the conduit. It's about
mm,
what's the outcome. And I think that's one thing that's been really powerful. If I think about the things, that matter, is having that research data from Kath about the impact of this work, and there's research to prove it. The fact that if we don't have um, people supported, um,
within that
it,
12-month time
within that
frame.
12-month time frame, they will leave. So
Yep.
so that's great motivation for all the work that everybody puts in. Me to connect people, but businesses to keep them there, and then the community network. That was my drive. Was like, I'm
Mm,
not going to waste all this effort that everybody else puts in, for it to fail. And yeah, there's going to be people who, the job or the region doesn't suit, but the overarching drive is that research data was the critical thing. And it's so easy to then tell that story and that
yep.
narrative, and get people on board with not only the data, but then it's the stories about, the individual stories about people, the quirky things that they do, or
Those
where they come,
those case
those
studies were so
case
powerful. Yeah.
or where they come from, or how they heard about it. You've got to have that big picture data, but then you've got to have the granular, oh, and so did this, and
Yes.
and so it's really, really personalizes that data.
Mm. And I think Shepparton's quite unique in terms of its multiculturalness that we have, and, the First Nations population we have as well. But how long do you think it took you for people to know what the Community Connector was in Shepparton. You know, I remember seeing you everywhere. You did some great videos initially that we used on the website as a platform for sharing the story around the Community Connector and the need for and what it can do for businesses. But, you know, you were partnering with local educational institutions and existing programs and going to Rotary and talking about the story, because those connections, and then gathering all those contacts and popping them in your CRM to start building this database.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the critical, so the really important things is that big picture narrative. Then a couple of the case studies. That video that we did was just the bomb. Like it was something. It was something that people could share. So it was really easy to share on social media. I have to say, I worked with Peter Sutherland, who's an interesting character, and he. And I've never been, had to do a video before. And he kept saying, he helped write the script, which was great. And then he said, I want more. Like I'd say, welcome to Shepparton. And he goes, no. So welcome to Shepparton. And I felt like such a fraud, like, because, I'm enthusiastic.
Oh, no, but you nailed it. It was just brilliant and welcoming. And
it was, wasn't it? And
yeah, totally.
And so working with him was really, that was critical, because, and that the results from that video, and everybody then shared it. They go, oh my God, you're doing this. So I think it's a bit of that enthusiasm that people then knew that I was around. And so then because of that, it then got shared so broadly. And so it got shared through the Committee for Greater Shepparton Network. It got shared through all the cultural groups and the visitor centre and council and that sort of thing. And then they just remember it. And for some reason it got played so much, even for longer periods of time. And then people would just contact me going, oh, we've got this event coming up you need to know about. And so in a way, yes, I did go, like initially the first 6 months is about going out and saying, this is what we can do, and watch this video and to get a good idea. But then after the 6 months, because I was known, everyone started sending stuff to me. Yeah. It was either they'd send information about what was coming up for the weekend, or if they've got a new group and they wanted new members, or then people referring others. Oh, so-and-so's moved to town. Can you talk to them, or can you help them? So that video was a game changer.
And I think it just shows the importance of those resources. Initially, the resources you built and the ones when I came on as well, that, you had that relocation flyer, you had a flyer that was standard used for business and how the Community Connector can help their business. The video, there was...
the other one was, so we've got a really diverse community here. So the other one was the where to find stuff, like the hairdresser. Yes. And the hairdresser, and where do you find halal food, and where do you get a battery for your clicker on your car keys? Yep. Just all of that stuff to make life. I just wanted to make life easy, and it does. And
it also made your life easier too, though, Fiona, in terms of you weren't repeating yourself each time. You were able to grab this resource and push it through and collate that in the CRM as well.
Absolutely.
So resources are really critical, really, at the start, because each network, each collaboration and partnership you had in the community, you're able to then feed them this consistent messaging around, the flyers, what you can do to help the client, how you can help a business, your video. And I think, was there a point that people were using your video in the Seek? They were putting their advertisements for job vacancies.
And that's what we encourage.
Attaching your video.
We'd encourage. We said to them, put an ad in, make sure you link this video, so that these people, particularly from domestically and from overseas, could see that there's this support about providing support, the relocation. And in thinking about that, I also then had to separate out the resources for domestic people who are relocating and what they would need, and then those from overseas, because
Yes. They're quite different.
they're really different. And even so, working out how do you get a bank account and transfer your money over here, getting from Melbourne Airport to Shepparton, how do you do that, and when does the bus run? There was a business that ran a bus from the airport. And yeah, so but again, the more that you can streamline all of that information, and Medicare cards and stuff, just you
Yeah, licenses and yeah.
yeah, but just have it in a flyer and go, here, this is what you got to do. And I actually had it all in a pack, and so you just got the whole pack.
Yeah.
The
So that
bus
was a really,
timetable for here, and
yeah,
the
brilliant.
public transport. It's just, and the more systems that you can have in place,
Mm.
the easier it is. So there's
But I
systems for
also think,
businesses.
yeah, it's also the relationship you made with particular industry groups. Like you had a great relationship with the Tourism Information Centre and through council and their tourism and marketing. So you're able to jump on board with some of their existing resources and
Yeah,
not have to reinvent the wheel, but partner with them at all different industry levels to complement what the Community Connector were doing, but also for them to do the same. And have the Community Connector website on attached to their website for job vacancies as well. So those partnerships are so
that's
important.
so important. And we set up a Facebook group, so that I could just, share, this is what's coming up this weekend. If you want to get out of town, there's these sort of things on. If you want to stay local, there's these things, or for kids activity, or whatever. And they've now started to replicate that in a Love the Local and what's coming up. So
Yes.
they've sort of taken that idea and gone broader, so that to be able to promote it locally to everybody.
And I
So
think I was looking at that the other day, and they had over 800 or 900 members on that Facebook page now,
mm,
people that are connected. So that would be the relocator and their partner
mm,
joining,
yep,
which is pretty extraordinary.
yeah. And the other thing that worked really well, uh, was to actually go. So we did offer a service of, for here, if you want to apply for a rental, you have to attend an open house and excuse me, and register your interest. Well, there's people, in Cairns or Perth or whatever coming across, or overseas, who can't do that. So we'd offer that service. And I went and actually eyeballed every real estate agent and said, I'm the community connector. This is the job that I'm doing. I only work with professionals. So, I wouldn't say I bullied, bullied them, but I basically said, I only work with professionals. So if I turn up, I'm representing them, and they're going to be good. So you need to trust me. And more often than not, they'd get pushed higher on the list. And
Yeah,
that
it's a
was
bit of a
just from
win-win for both of them as well. But
absolutely, absolutely. And
I think that
and
was
so
another resource that was developed as well was, how to apply for a rental,
yep,
particularly for people coming from overseas as well.
yep. Um, and so you sort of have to do, well, not the hard work. It's a different job for the first 6 months, meeting people and saying, this is who I am, and being able to talk about the importance of why would you want to support someone, when they relocate to town, because they're going to stay. And so if they're going to stay, they're going to stay longer in your rental. Um, so that was really valuable as well.
Yeah,
Really, really
wow,
valuable. Mm.
excellent. Well, I think we probably gathered enough information for them. We've spoken about, the collaboration of governance and the committees, connecting to local organisations, the community around those sporting, those partnerships you
Cultural
have
groups.
with the cultural groups around that settlement.
Yep.
Then we've got the partnerships with existing partnerships, so educational institutions, or maybe it's
Mm.
infrastructure. The engineering infrastructure
Yep.
program that we partnered with, we're able to help with their new to connect with engineers relocating to Shepparton, and then the community connector was supporting that. So collaboration is a huge part of the community connector, and I think, yeah, you've highlighted that again this morning.
And one thing it's that I learnt at one, so Golden Valley Health was our largest. We had the largest number of staff that we supported, probably over a third. And at one point, I was approached and said, "Come and work for the hospital and do your job just for the hospital." And I said, "Well, actually, that's a good idea, but you actually, to get the most value, you need diversity across the whole community. Because if I'm only listening to and hearing stories about health and about GV health, then I'm not hearing connections about engineers or teaching opportunities or even retail opportunities for partners to get jobs and things like that. So
supporting their children, yeah, it really has to be outside the
whole
community, whole of community.
You need to know exactly what's going on, and the more the work that you can do to set yourself up in those first 6 months to be that everyone knows you. Everyone's got to know you. So, and they actually then make your life easy because then people share stuff with you.
And I think you get to that stage where you are just the connector, setting those boundaries of what your role is, and you are everyone knows you, and you are the connector. So
yeah,
thanks, Fiona.
that is a pleasure.
I miss working with you.